Good day guys, today is new project day and today I thought I'd leave my hair down because I washed it this morning and it's looking pretty smart. Been growing this for about 2.5 years now. I had a completely bald head for a few years but my wife convinced me to grow my hair back and there you go, and I quite like it. So new project day, what do we have? Well, I'm not going to show you the guitar yet. First I'm going to show you the case, and show you the case will give you some idea as to what guitar we have. And there you go, it's a Gibson case. And it's a big Gibson case, so that means we're going to have something nice in, doesn't it, normally? And we have got something nice in, and we have a Gibson 339, is it? 335, ES335, and look at this. Beautiful, isn't it? Look at the colour on that, and look at the patina on that and the aging. Now the strings, okay, I don't like to see strings like that, but they're fine with new strings. Got some good Grover tuners on there. A lot of tarnishing on the tuners and on the hardware and on the pickups. Now there's a bit of a story with this one. This belongs to a guy who lives down in Northampton way, and he's seen my videos on YouTube and he's gone, that's a guy I want to sort my guitar out. So he got in contact with me last week and we had a chat and he told me what he got, and I said, yeah, come down. He came down yesterday morning, early yesterday morning, well, early-ish. Met him, nice bloke, nice chap. And this guitar's been basically sat under a bed for 10 years, and he says the neck, the frets and the fingerboard were filthy and they got all green stuff on there and blah blah. He's actually took the time to remove the strings and clean up that neck before he bought it. How amazing, how fabulous. So really appreciate that. I love the colour of this. This is my favourite colour Gibson guitar, this burst. This is like what I'd call a tobacco sunburst. Nice grain to the neck there. Serial number, yeah, blah 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 blah. It is a 4-figure serial number. I forgot exactly how to decipher that. The run number or production number is it says 517 with discount 300, so it's guitar number 217 of that production run. The year is normally the first and fifth digit, so that would give us 889. So this is a 1989. I could go and find out what the factory numbers mean. I'm not quite sure yet. I would say it's an 89. Looking at it, made in the USA. Beautiful guitar. So what does it need doing? Well, while the owner was here, I had a look at the truss rod. Now I've got the truss rod nut cover back on. Now the truss rod nut had a problem, so while the owner was here, says, look, I want to make sure this truss rod's alright, make sure the neck's alright, because you all know me, I'm all about the necks, and if the neck is straight or can be straightened and the truss rod works okay, then we have a solid foundation to build from. If the neck is not right, your guitar is never going to be right. This is why I concentrate on necks and frets. It's why I'm fret friend. But anyway, the truss rod nut was really tight. I could not tighten it, and it wasn't very happy at being loosened. So while the guy was here, we did loosen it a little bit at a time, and I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the truss rod nut, and what I'm going to do is we're going to look at the thread on the truss rod, which is exactly what we did. And the thread's fine, but it was all gunk and crap all over there. So I said, look, I need to clean that off. So what I did was, in the end, I dropped a piece of felt underneath the truss rod nut, and I put a squirt of WD-40 in there, or a couple of squirts of WD-40, and I picked at the thread, and we cleaned it all up. And then when I put the nut back on, I went on and we put some Vaseline on the nut itself and inside and on the thread of the truss rod, and now you will see that we have a nut back in. So I've already done some work, so this might seem like an appraisal video, but I've already started doing the work. That nut is now cleaned up, it works absolutely fine. I could prove that to you, but I don't have my truss rod adjusting nut or tool. Yeah, I do. Tell a fib, bit of a fib. So anyway, what I did was, got a truss rod working absolutely fine, and I can show you that right now, and I will bang that on there, and there you go, and watch. That's loosening and that's tightening, and it's working absolutely fine. So I did straighten the neck. We've got a truss rod working, like I say, working fine, and I went across it with the notched straight edge, which I'm going to do again. I'm going to get the neck absolutely straight, and I'm going to go across and test the frets. Now, I do know that there are 4 frets that need attention. That neck is dead straight. There are 4 frets that need attention. So I'm going to move the camera. I'm going to go across with a fret rocker, make sure there still are 4 frets. And when I find those 4 frets that need attention, I'm going to mark them off. This guitar is going to have an intensive setup. Now with an intensive setup, it is basically a regular player setup. Now player setup is everything, bar fretwork and bar electrical work. I know for a fact this guitar's got scratchy pots, so I'm going to have to oik. All of the pots are going to come out of the F-hole. And I'm going to clean them all up, get some switch cleaner in there, and we're going to try and get them not crackling. Once that's done, I'm going to clean up all the pitting and everything on the bridge, on the tailpiece and on the pickups, give them all a clean. I'm going to strip or remove, slightly remove, or just tighten up all of the tuners on the front, on the outside of the tuners themselves, and the 4 screws or 6 screws on the back. So everything is going to get tightened up, checked. If we have any loose screws holding these tuners in, we'll remove them, we'll bang some dowel in there and we'll re-tighten them. All the electrics will be sorted out. Like I say, it's having the intensive. I'll be removing everything to do with the electrics. The input jack, the 3-way and the 4 pots will all come out of this hole, and we'll get it all plugged in and tested, and we'll get everything cleaned up. The pickups, we'll clean them up, we'll get some metal polish on there, and we'll just give them a little clean and brush over just to get them a little bit smart. The bridge has got quite a bit of gunk in there. I also need to set the intonation, blah 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 blah, set the action, make sure the strings are not resting on the bridge, which they are, so we need to pull this tailpiece up so we've got nothing resting on there, otherwise that is going to cause tuning problems, buzz and rattle. We've got all the frets levelled. We will again, even though it has been had some lemon oil on there, we'll put a little bit more on, and I'll check the slots on the nuts. So it's having the whole shebang. So I'm going to move the camera slightly and we'll come back, we'll go across, we'll make sure, I'll show you the guitar neck all levelled out, and we will go across with the fret rocker and we'll see which frets need working on. Right, here we are, just showing that this neck is absolutely straight. We've got the notched straight edge on there, and we have no gaps under anywhere. If anything, there's a tiny bit of backbone just on this end here, which I can just slacken off just by loosening the truss rod and nats. And that is it, we have the neck as straight as we can get that neck. Ocean truss rod. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move that out of the way. I'm going to take the camera round to where I need it to be, which is here. And there you go, and you can now watch me go across with the not straight edge. There you go, that's pretty good. Not straight edge with the fret rocker, and I will grab my pen. I've left the strings on, there's no tension on the strings. I've just left them on just so I can intonate the guitar before I remove these strings, because these same strings are going back on. So if I've got the intonation done before I remove them, when I put it back together, put strings back on, the intonation is going to be set. Right, so here we go. I'm going to do all 3 areas. So I'm going to do middle, outside, inside as I look at it. Middle is it needs marking, middle and outside on this one, so we go centre to outer. I'll check these again with the strings off, so just a reference for me so I know where I need to be. That's 2 frets already. I did say 4 frets, and that one needs a bit of work. It might need a complete fret level looking at this. Hoping not. I think I do remember it was a bit shoddy at this end, but okay at this end. I hope I'm not under-quoted for this. I'm definitely under-quoted because there's 4 frets already. As a goodwill gesture, I will sort this one out at the price quoted. But we might be alright, rest of the guitar up. Middle on there, listen again. Five frets. If we get to 7, I'm going to have to call him back. Say, look, it needs a fret level. And there you go, you're already at 6. Now we don't have a lot of material on these frets, they're quite low. So doing a fret level, I've got to be really careful. But if we're all okay at the rest of the guitar, doing okay now. This is getting better. I thought it was okay at this end. I don't want to do a complete fret level because it means removing material off all of the frets, and we don't have a lot of work to play with on these frets. We're not super high, and then we might start looking at a refret. We don't want to do that. We're good enough at this end. Okay, we have one high fret there, but that's the 21st fret. That doesn't matter if the final fret's low. We don't have to touch any of that because these frets are all in line with each other. Right, that's really good. That's very encouraging news. So I will go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 frets. They are that close together. We're in a space of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In the space of 7 frets, 6 need slight attention. So this is the area we need to work on. So I'm going to be absolutely fine just leveling these few here. I will take, I'll just do this with a flat file and I'll do it that way, and I'll just recrown. Then all I have to do is recrown these. So it's going to have half of a fret level. So I'm going to stick within the price I agreed on. I'm just going to charge him for an intensive setup. We've seen that there are 6 frets need work. That one, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 frets all down this end. So I can think I could cover that. I do 5 frets anyway in an intensive setup, and it's not going to be a great deal of work as long as we make sure that the ones either side of these ones I'm working on, all the frets I need to work on are here. So as long as we're all right here and here, so up to fret 11. If we get these done and we get all to fret 11, make sure it's all straight with each other. It means the whole fingerboard is absolutely fine. So I'm going to crack on with a couple of bits. I'm going to, like I say, I'm going to tune it up, set the intonation. Once that's done, I'll get the strings off. We'll remove the bridge and the tailpiece. We'll clean them up. We'll have the pickups out a little bit. We'll get all the electrics out, and I will give everything a clean. But of course, before I do all that, once I've got the guitar tuned, I'm going to test the electrics, see which pots are scratching. I will come back and show you some of this, so it'll be easier to show you rather than explain. So tune back in shortly. So I've set the intonation. Only a couple of strings really needed adjusting, mainly the G string and I think the A string. The rest of them are pretty much okay. One needed a tiny tweak, that was it. So onto the electrics. And really that one's crackling. They're not scratching much at all. Pots are fine. Tone pots don't really seem to be doing a lot. Don't seem to be doing a lot at all, does it, those tone switches? Nothing I can really do about that. Let's just try. We'll go in there and have a look at that wiring, because that is not doing a great deal. Is it doing anything? Let's get it on the bridge pickup. Bit, there's not a lot of variation in there, but that said, the owner said there's crackling on the pots. Seems okay. Seems okay. That one is probably crackling a bit. That seems okay. And that seems okay, but what I'm going to do anyway is I'm going to remove everything. Input jack, 3-way, all of the 4 pots. I'm going to get them all hanging out of this hole here, and we are going to clean everything up anyway, get some switch cleaner in there. It's not going to hurt to do that. I will be marking up every single pot and switch, because these are things that have been sat for a long time. They're all rusty under there. We will get some WD in and around there. Certainly some switch cleaner in there is going to help, because the pots are a little bit stiff. Now what I will do is, to colour coordinate, to get these out right, what I will do is, as I remove one, I will colour code both the pot, and I'll put a little sticker next to where that pot has come from, so we get them all back in the right order. It's always a nice little thing to do that, so we can make sure we don't make any mistakes. So I will crack on with that. I also have a lovely little tool to help me to get all this stuff back in, or this back in. I'll show you that in due course. Just want to show the bridge, the top east bridge. Not too bad, not too cruddy. We get a bit of a, I guess, soft nylon brush on that. I'm cleaning it all up, and I'll probably see if I can get a bit of crud around there. Maybe I'll get a squirt of some kind of oil-based cleaner, and we'll get it off with a soft brush again. But this might be a little bit more, might just get something a little bit tougher on there. Looks like battery acid, doesn't it? It's leaked everywhere. It's not, it's just pitting and corrosion and umscal. So I'm going to get a good, an old nylon nail brush on that and get rid of all that crap. And I might just give it a wipe of metal polish. I've got some good stuff here. I don't use it very often because I don't really need it that often. But if I do need a metal polish, I will go and I'll get a, and I've had this for donkey's years, Peak. It's great stuff. I bought this, it was about, how much was it? About £3.5. I moaned how much it was, £3.50. Yeah, I've had this 3 years and I've already used it. What was I moaning at? Who knows? So that's what I'm going to do with that. Get to brush in. I might get a little bit of that on the pickups. I'll raise them a bit. I'm not going to remove the pickups, but I might raise them up just a little bit higher just to get it to them. I'm going to have, I'll have these out, these posts out, and we'll give them a bit of a clean. But I'm going to crack on now. I'm going to remove all of the parts. What I'm going to decide I'm going to do is I'm going to colour code the top of each of these pots. And I've only got a black and blue pen. So one will be full black, one will be half black, and one will be full blue, one will be half blue, just so I can identify where they're going to go back in when they go back in later. So, I'm going to crack on. And this is how I will colour and code the pots. Full blue, full black, half blue, where are we? Half blue, half black, full blue, full black. And I've coloured in the pots accordingly, so I know where they go back into. So I really struggled trying to get the electrics out of the F-hole, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to remove the bridge pickup, see if there's a hole big enough to drag everything out of the pickup hole. And let's get you in on this. And that's it. Let me just zoom in. I think that answers the question. So I managed to get the pickup out. I've dragged everything out through the pickup hole. Now you'll see there's lots of dirt and umscal come out with it. So just proving this guitar has been stood under a bed for many years. I'm going to clean all this wiring. Very, very neat job. My pen marks are intact. So that's half black there. That's full black there. So we have got there, got the neck volume, neck tone. And we have half blue there, which says it's the bridge tone, and full blue there, which says it is the bridge volume. So, excellent. So I'm going to hold the pickup out of the way for now. Going to get some switch cleaner in all of these pots. I'm not going to show all of this on video, but what I will do is, once I've cleaned everything up, I've got some switch cleaner in there, I will come back and show all the electrics working before we put it all back. It is a pain in the posterior to do all this. I've not charged any extra for it. I would normally charge you £3 extra because it's going to put half hour on the job, but normally be an extra 15 quid or something on that. In this case, I'm not going to bother. It's a new client, you know, so let's treat them right first time in. going to clean everything up, get some switch cleaner in all of the pots, and then I'll plug it back in, and we'll try make sure that there's no crackling on any pots. I'll clean up any contacts. I'll get a bit of wire wool or a bit of a steel. We'll get a wire brush on there, steel brush, and we'll just get everything cleaned up, get all the contacts cleaned up, and that will be that. But for today, as far as filming is concerned, that's as much as I'm going to do, because it is Sunday afternoon. I'm going to take my dog for a walk, and then we're going to have some dinner. So check back in tomorrow and see where we are. Right, welcome back, friends. Now we are going to try and get all of these pots back into their relative positions. Now, the first go at this was a bit of a disaster because I need certain pots to go in first, and these are, you'll see this is a bridge volume pot. Now the bridge, well, I've removed the pickup because the wires snapped anyway trying to get them back in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to re-solder them in a moment, but I'm going to explain how I'm going to try and get these pots back in. And what I've done is, you'll see I've removed this wire here, and this was just getting in the way of everything, and we've got a very small area there to put the pots back in, and so we have to put them in the correct order. Now that wire was getting in the way. That is the bridge earth wire, and it was just getting in the way of everything. I couldn't get everything in. I've got to be so precise because the fit is so tight. So anyway, am I regretting removing these pots? Yeah, probably a little bit, because I could have just got some cleaner in there through the top, but it's done now. Now I want to show something else I've done. That's all the bits. I've soaked these in WD-40 overnight to try and remove some rust. So I'm going to wire brush all this gear. Where are we? There you go. I'm going to wire brush all this stuff. These are the pointers and the washers and everything, and the screws for the pots. So I'm going to give them a good clean later. Now what I'm going to plan to do is, I've got 4 pieces of tube that fit more or less perfectly over the pots and give a good tight fit, like so. And I'm going to put these in the holes, and I'm going to pull the pots through. What I'll do is I'll come in through this end, and I'm going to pull the pots through one by one. Well, I'm going to have to do them all together. So I'm going to get them all on the pots, try and get the first 2 through, then push these through again. Also, for getting the input socket or the input jack, the jack socket in there, I have a jack socket soldered onto the end of a 017 guitar string with a puller on the end, and I'm able to thread this through, get this on the jack, and we'll also be able to pull that through. So it's all about getting everything routed correctly. Of course, I've got to resolder on the bridge pickup, which means at least I can get the pickup where I want it to be. I can get it out of the way. That's going to be the second pot in. The first pot going in will be this tone. And this is a bridge tone which goes on this one. So I'm going to pull that wire through in a moment, once I've got these wires soldered on for the pickup. The pickup I'll just hold out of the way. When everything's in, I'll reroute this wire from the bridge stud and solder it onto the back of the pickup. Now I'm going to show you this pickup. It's not very often you see these. There you go. I don't know what year that's from, I don't know what pickup it is, but you know, maybe you could tell me. So I'm going to crack on. There will be some head scratching moments, and I may F and Jeff a little bit, so it's all going to be off camera. And I will come back when I've got all these bits back in. There's no point in coming back and having them not in, so I'll come back once they are all in. So I think I've been a little bit clever here. I thought, what's the best way to get this in without, I need the pickup out of the way. So I've taken the pickup completely out of the equation, and what I've done is, I'm going to get the pots in, then I'll solder the pickup back in later. There's no way I'll be able to solder the pickup wires to the back of this pot. So what I've done is I've decided to put some extension wires on there, and I've gone with a solid core, 1 core piece of earth wire, which is the black. I've covered in heat shrink wrap, and the red wire is coming from the hot on the pot here, which is the hot wire. And what I'm going to do is, once this is in, I'm going to pull it through here. And when I get the pickup in, I'm going to pull the pickup wire through here, and I'm going to solder this through this hole. Resolder it, I'll get some heat shrink wrap over there so we get everything all connected nice. And then I'm going to shove the wires inside the guitar. And that's going to make it quite a bit easier for me to get these pots in the guitar, I believe. Now, I'm going to have a go at getting them in right now. And I'm kind of going to go in this way. So what I need to do first is I need to get that one on, then that one. I'm going to pull these two through. These are going to pull over there then. And I need to get that one on and that one and pull those through, keeping the neck wire taped here out of the way. I will also thread through the jack thingamadoof, blah 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 blah. And we'll get that all connected as well. I may come back and show you how I'm pulling these through. If it is, I've already had a go and it went. I had 2 goes and it was disastrous both times. And I've done this before, a few times before, and I've had stuff out of these F-holes before. But these obviously don't go out of the F-hole because it's such a big, tough connection there with all the earth wires and everything. So it's going to have to go through here. So I'm going to try and stay calm, and I'm going to have a go at getting them through right now. Excuse me. So, a bit of a downer. I've got everything through. Went really quite easily. And I've just realised a wire has come off of the 3-way selector. So I've got to drag everything back out and start again. So that's exactly what I will do. So with the neck pickup, I decided to go the same way as I did with the bridge pickup, and that's to put on an extender wire which I can pull through the F-hole and solder later on once I've got all the pots back in. And on the neck I'm going to go with the blue wire on the neck volume, which will be this one. So all I need to do is make it long enough just to get out of this hole so I can pull the pickup wire through, which is here, and solder onto that. I will be putting some heat shrink wrap over this length so we can pull it over and keep it all basically all looking like this inside. I've got loads of heat shrink wrap tubing. So hookup wire I'm using is this stuff I bought off eBay a year or so ago. It is it's got 1.2mm outer but only 1/4 millimetre inner, or 0.22 millimeters. Fantastic stuff. I don't know if you can see that label there. You might be able to read that. I've got 6 different colours in there. So you've got your normal green, white, red, black, blue and yellow in there. So that's a piece for that. I'll get a piece for the earth wire. I'll use a single core, what is it called, bell core. If you want to know where I got this stuff from, I got it from there on eBay. See if we can check the username out. I must find out when I bought it. 26th of October 2017, so I bought it last year. Yeah, tronicized on eBay. Blah blah blah. Hookup wire cable, 7 by 0.2 stranded core, 0.22mm, 1.2mm outer. And there you go. If you want to get any of that, it can be quite difficult to find on eBay. You put hookup wire, you get a million results. This is actually from the UK as well, so you ain't got to wait for it. And it's not expensive, and it's good stuff. It's what I use all the time. Well, especially for extensions. I don't use it all the time because I use cloth wire as well. So that can go in there. I will snip a piece off of here for my earth or ground or whatever you want to call it. There's the, alright, get out. Yeah, trouble finding the end there. I'll find the end, I'll get it all sorted out and I'll come back later. So I've now fixed some extension wires to, this is the bridge volume, blue wire for the hot, black wire for the ground. I've shrink wrapped it, heat shrink wrap. I've done the same with the bridge volume, red for hot, black for ground. Can you see that? Red for hot, black for ground. I've also heat shrink wrapped that as well. So now we have 2 extensions. Both going to come from here, out of a hole. We'll wire the pickups, we'll take the pickup wire also out of a hole. We'll get some shrink wrap tube in a big thick piece around there, and what we'll do is we'll rewire them. Once that's done, we'll shove them back in the hole and everything will be connected. It just means that I can now get these 4 pots in a lot easier. Can you see there? They're your 2 extension wires for the pickups. Makes things a lot neater, a lot simpler. I've completely rewired the jack, or the 3-way should I say. Everything's all nice and solid in there. Everything's separated and apart. We're not going to get any shorts there. So I'm now ready to get these back in. So I'm going to get them back in and I will come back this time. I will come back when they are in. I just want to show you the washers I soaked overnight in WD-40. There's one. I'm just about to steel brush it. I've done one side. Blah 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 blah. And they look a lot better. Just getting all that rust off there. Just leave it. I've left them in WD-40 overnight. And a bit of a brushing. Turn it over, brush this side. Get rid of all that rust. And there you go. That is now very, very usable. Much better than it was. I get all the others done and get it all on my guitar. Well, that, my friends, was very, very hard work. And I've been in here since about 8 o'clock this morning. And it's now 3 in the afternoon. And I've finally got the pots back in. I have the 2 extension wires for the pickups here. I have a neck one there and the bridge one here. That is the neck pickup wiring, which I'm going to wire to this. I've got to keep everything, I've got to keep a distance between that and that. So I will be putting some, I'll be getting some, what do you call it, heat shrink wrap tubing on there. Then I'll put in the bridge pickup, and we're going to wire that to here as well, keep it all nice and neat. Then we can cram all that wires in there somewhere, get the pickup in, and we can start putting the guitar back together. Now this, I've had stuff out easier through the F-hole, but there's no way I got this stuff out through the F-hole because of the way it was all soldered together. So that has really been an episode. And it's not that I've spent the whole 7 hours on this. I've spent time on this, then I've gone away. Then I spent a bit more time on it and gone away again. It took me about 4 goes to get this in. The way I got it in eventually was to just wrap cotton around the stems of the pots and get everything all pushed in so it's basically in this shape and just slide it all along together by pulling all 4 strings together. The input jack was a bit of a hindrance, but got it all in and it is now all done. Maybe one day I should do a video showing how to remove pots and put them back in on one of these guitars, but today is not going to be that day. It's taken me a long time to do this. It's put me behind on other work, which is no great thing. You know, it's just, it'd be nice if I could have this done today and have the other fret level done today, but I doubt I'm going to get the fret level done today now as well as this. But hey ho, it's the way it goes. It's why I've cut down how many jobs I take on at the moment. It's why I now leave my Wednesdays free and I leave Saturday spare. And this came in on Saturday. This is an extra job, so by rights I really should have been doing this Wednesday. Told the guy Thursday, Friday he could bring it in, but he couldn't get Thursday or Friday, so I let him come in early. So this is extra, so it's put my other work back 24 hours, but you know, end of the day, this one will be done today. He can come and pick it up tomorrow. I have a new client. I'm sure he'll go away very happy, and that's what it's all about. And here we are some time later, and the pickups are in. Everything's all done. Well, not everything's done, but pickups are in the centre position. Both pickups are on. Test the tone. So neck pickup, volume, bridge pickups off, tone, bridge pickup, neck pickups off, volume, tone. So that's the electrics all working properly as they ought. Now I can move on to getting these 6 frets levelled, and then we can get some strings on it, get it all back together, and it will be done. I hope to have this one done tonight, but I'm finishing at 6 PM. It is now 4 PM. I've been all this is all I've done today. So it's taken a lot more hours than it really ought to have done. It's done me out of about 4 hours, I think. But you know, it's the way it goes sometimes. These can be a nightmare. I didn't have to take them out. It's my own fault. I could have left them in and got some switch cleaner in there, but I much prefer to take them out and do it. End of the day, got it all back, got them all back in. Everything's working fine, so we can now move on to the neck, and we'll crack on, get these levelled and re-crowned. Right, just finished levelling the frets, and I don't know if you'll see all the dust, the fret, well we call it dust, it's shavings or the filings of the frets. And there were 2 also. This one needed a little bit of adjustment. By rights, 8 frets. I should have done a fret level across the whole lot, but I've done it all by hand. I'm just going to go over now with the fret rocker just to show that all frets are level, and then I'm going to knock off for the day because I've got something on at church tonight, so I'm going to wrap up pretty soon. All I will have to do in the morning is get these frets polished, get the fingerboard oiled, and get the strings on. So I'm just going to go across the frets now with the fret rocker, and you won't get any rock anywhere. There's a little bit of wear down this end, but the owner said to me, he says he doesn't play professionally anymore, just they don't need levelling, just get them levelled. And if he's playing professionally, he'd have probably gone for a fret level, but that's fair enough. So we're all good. So the polishing, fret polishing, I shall do off camera. I'll do that in the morning, first thing when I get up. And get some strings on and we'll all be good. The second to last one's a little bit high, but that doesn't matter because it's level with all the ones that precede it. So it means the end one is a little bit lower. That does happen a lot. So absolutely nothing to worry about if that one's a little bit lower than all the others, because you can still fret the note, obviously. So that is it. I'm going to remove all this dust. I'm going to get my fret guard out and I'm going to polish these frets. Well, the next thing I do will be polishing these frets. I'm going to spray some mineral oil on the fingerboard and let this soak in overnight. But that for today is me done. I've spent the whole day on this guitar. You know, it's made a mockery of what I'm charging for it, but you know, it's the way it goes sometimes. And that's just the thing. I normally do charge extra for dragging, 15 quid extra for dragging these the pots out of the hole and everything, but I've not this time. New customer, you know, just give me a little something extra first time round. But yeah, I'm going to let this mineral oil soak in. I know he's already done this, he's cleaned the fingerboard up, but I'm not going to wait it to do it just a little bit more. Just to recap what's been done on this guitar, I've had all the electrics out, reconditioned the electrics completely, resoldered some parts that broke. I have put some switch cleaner in all of the pots so the pots aren't crackling anymore. I fixed the truss rod area. Truss rod was stuck, we managed to get it loose, I took it out, cleaned up the thread, cleaned up the nut. We got some petroleum jelly on the nut itself and on the thread. Got that back in, the truss rod's working fine now. I've given a mini fret level. I've actually worked on 8 frets rather than 6. Normally I only include 5 on an intensive setup, but I didn't want to call the guy and say, oh look, I really ought to do blah blah blah. You know how it works. So I thought I'd do it all by hand. So I've done it all by hand. Frets are levelled. Next thing I need to do is get the frets all polished up, wipe off all this excess mineral oil. Then I will check all the tuners, make sure they're all working okay, to check the screws on those and the tightness of them. I'll clean up the headstock area and then we will get the strings back on. I have cleaned the, I've had a go on the tailpiece, got all the crap out from the bits that sit on the post. It was like battery acid all dried up. And I've also cleaned the bridge, give that a real good clean. I cleaned it as best I could. There's still some tarnishing on there, but there's none of that horrible green crud, that acidic type of crud that was on there. So that's going to work absolutely fine. Got that to go back on tomorrow. I've got the studs and posts need to go back in there, knocking about somewhere, I'll find them in a bit. So that is it. So, like I say, in the morning, fresh polished, tuners sorted, strings on, job done, get it set up, and it'll be ready for lunchtime tomorrow. Right, this guitar is actually done. I decided to blob on with it, carry on and get it finished because I've actually put a job off to get this one done today. And this is one, the guy contacted me on Friday, bought it in Saturday morning, and I said to him on the phone Friday, I said, I've got no spaces till next Thursday, next Friday, that's this Thursday, this Friday coming. But being as he was in Peterborough, I said, just bring it down, I'll see what I can do. Anyway, the only day he could collect it was tomorrow, Tuesday, so I said, right, I'll get it done for you, I'll get it done for Tuesday, blah, 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 blah. I've just had a message off him, he can't pick it up tomorrow, picking it up Saturday. So, I'm not going to complain about it. I really shouldn't have put a job off to get it done anyway. So it's my fault, and it's also my fault the electrics took so long to get in because they didn't really need to come out. I just needed to get in there. I'm glad I took them out because they were filthy. They needed cleaning up, and a couple of solder joints needed resoldering. Anyway, so he's basically had the whole lot done. Guitar is fine. I've even put the old strings on. But let's recap what has been done to this guitar. Came in, it had uneven frets, it needed 6 doing, I thought I was doing by hand. I ended up actually doing 8. Now by rights, when you go above 5 I should be doing a complete fret level. But I did it all by hand, so there's no extra cost on there. But basically what I've done with this is I've stripped it, rebuilt it. I've stripped all the guts out, I've checked all the connections, resoldered some of the solder connections on the pots. I've also got some switch cleaner in the pots, cleaned all the pots out. I've completely resoldered the 3-way, that needed doing, a couple of wires are coming off there. And I put some extension wires on the pickups so I can get the pickups in easier. I've cleaned up all of the tailpiece and the bridge. I've gone in there with various files and sandpaper, well not sandpaper, steel wool, just to get all the grime and all the oxidisation off there. I've also done the pickups, cleaned the pickups up, got the oxidisation or most of it off the pickups, even though they're tarnished. I've done the same with the tuners, tightened all the screws at the back, all the bolts on the top and all the screws on the edges, make sure we're all alright. I also loosened or freed the truss rod which was stuck, it wouldn't tighten. That's all been cleaned in there. We've got some Vaseline in there. I have levelled the frets, I've polished the frets, I have also got some lemon oil on the fingerboard, gave that a clean, even though it had already been done, I just wanted to do that. And everything on it is working fine. It looks amazing now, doesn't it? It's going to be really, really pleased with this. It's been a grueler, this one. It took 3 or 4 hours more than it ought to have done. I lost at least half a day on this. I could have got that fret level done, but absolutely beautiful. I've set the action above the 12 fret. I've got a tiny bit of relief in there, about 1/4 mil, right about the 7th fret, so not a lot there. Action on the 12th fret on the low E, I've got to judge between 1.75 and 2 millimeters, and I'm just about 1.6 millimeters on the high E. That is a bit lower than recommended. I could go a little bit higher if I wanted to. I've set the strings, the bridge and the tailpiece right, so the strings aren't leaning on to the edge of the bridge. So that's it, this one is all done and it looks fantastic, all ends up. I've also tightened the strap pins both sides. So this guitar has had the full bit. I know what he paid for this. He's done really, really well out of this guitar, I'll tell you that. And he saved a lot of money on me just doing an intensive setup rather than a fret level with a setup, which would have been 25 quid more. So, all good stuff. I don't know when he's collecting it, but it is ready, which means I can get on with Nathan's fret level or fret recrown and polish in the morning. It might just be ready for him at dinner time, like I said it would have been. So that's it, another one done. This is a Gibson USA ES335. I don't know what the last letters are. All done. So until the next time, boys and girls, as always, be good to each other and I will see you soon.